Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. Please subscribe and hit the bell icon. 1923 Season 2's finale confirms one fan-favorite character will be in Taylor Sheridan's next Yellowstone prequel. Amid all the devastation in 1923 Season 2's finale, one upside is the confirmation that Taylor Sheridan will include a fan-favorite character in his next Yellowstone prequel. 1923 Season 2, Episode 7, was a massive finish for the Dutton family, with Jacob Harrison Ford and Cara Dutton, Helen Mirren, coming out on top. The Duttons' tactical conflict against Donald Whitfield, Timothy Dalton, and Banner Creighton, Jerome Flynn, came to a head in 1923's finale, with Spencer Dutton, Brandon Sklenar, finally coming home, helping to finish off the army attacking the Yellowstone ranch. Despite their victory, the Dutton family faced a grave loss in 1923's finale when Alex Dutton, Julia Schlapfer, succumbed to the necrosis of her legs and arm, a condition incurred by Alex's exposure to Montana's unforgiving winter cold. After delivering John Dutton, Alex dies in Spencer's arms. 1923 Season 2's ending explains that her loss was felt by Spencer for the rest of his life. In her concluding narration, Elsa Dutton, Isabel May, reveals that her brother lived for 45 years after 1923's events, dying in 1969. Therefore, Yellowstone audiences can be fairly certain this isn't the last we've seen of Spencer Dutton. Since he lived until the late 1960s, we can be fairly confident that Spencer will return to Taylor Sheridan's teased Yellowstone prequel, 1944. The World War II-era Dutton family saga will presumably pick up amid the events of the war, and it would be the perfect setting for Spencer's return. Since Elsa confirms that her brother lived for 45 more years, and Spencer takes control of the ranch in 1923 Season 2's ending, it makes sense that Spencer is in charge of the Yellowstone Dutton Ranch in 1944. Therefore, there would have to be some extenuating circumstances explaining Spencer's absence. Although Spencer would be in his mid-50s in 1944, the war hero could opt to return to the military. Still, it would be compelling to include Spencer's war story rather than ignore it. And 1923 already set a precedent for Spencer's story, running parallel to what's happening at the Yellowstone Ranch. Moreover, Taylor Sheridan including 1923's main character in his next Dutton saga just makes sense, since Sklenar's performance made Spencer one of the most beloved Dutton family members in the Yellowstone franchise. Considering Spencer doesn't die in 1923's finale, it's safe to say he will emerge in 1944 somehow. Spencer's likely return in 1944 means we will get to learn more about the character, but there are a couple of things audiences already know from Kevin Costner's John Dutton in Yellowstone. In Yellowstone Season 4, Episode 3, Phantom Pain, John Dutton tells Jimmy that his grandfather lost a leg, explaining that the worst pain his ancestor ever felt was in his toes after his limb was amputated. Since it looks like Spencer's baby, John Dutton, is the father of Costner's character, that would make Spencer John Dutton i.e.'s grandfather, meaning that Spencer loses a leg sometime in the collective Yellowstone timeline. The clues have led many Yellowstone fans to believe that Spencer will lose his leg in World War II, though John Dutton doesn't explicitly state that his grandfather incurred his injury in battle. Still, considering 1923 Season 2 set Spencer up as a war hero, a Medal of Honor recipient, it could be that Spencer will return to the front lines in 1944, where he will lose his leg fighting for his country yet again. That said, Spencer will have a plethora of personal developments to explore, like the widow and his second son that Elsa Dutton's 1923 narration mentions. While there's little word on 1944's development, Brandon Sklenar has said that he's open to returning to the role of Spencer Dutton. On one hand, Sklenar's return to the role would be a thrill, since he and Julia Schlapfer were a highlight of 1923 Seasons 1 and 2, and Yellowstone's audience is hungry to see more of their characters. On the other hand, Spencer would be middle-aged in 1944, and Sklynar is only in his mid-30s. That said, it's more likely that Taylor Sheridan will cast an older actor to convey an aged version of Spencer Dutton. A new actor stepping into the role of Spencer Dutton could be just as good, since Sheridan's casting team has a knack for finding believable representations of characters in their older and younger ages. Still, it's exciting to know that Brandon Sklynar is open to reprising his role as Spencer, since Sheridan also heavily leans into flashbacks to drive his Yellowstone stories and their character-driven plots. Sklynar could return to show Spencer's first years running the ranch in flashbacks, explaining how he adapted. Regardless of Skylnar's involvement, it's exciting to know Spencer will be alive for the next Yellowstone story. Taylor Sheridan, the architect behind the ever-expanding Yellowstone universe, has never shied away from surprise character arcs, family legacies, and emotional cliffhangers. But in the much-anticipated Season 2 finale of 1923, Sheridan may have outdone himself, not with a dramatic shootout or a jaw-dropping betrayal, but with a single deliberate scene that sets the stage for the franchise's next chapter. That scene confirms what fans have been hoping for. One fan-favorite character isn't done with their story just yet, and their next chapter will unfold in Sheridan's next Yellowstone prequel. The moment that changed everything. The final minutes of 1923 Season 2 were emotionally charged, as expected. Jacob Dutton, Harrison Ford, and Kara, Helen Mirren, stood on the ridge of the Yellowstone Ranch, watching their family splinter in different directions. Spencer, still scared by the trauma and separation from Alexandra, appeared ready to accept his role in the legacy of the Dutton family, while younger family members faced the harsh reality of what it means to bear the Dutton name in the American West. But amidst the emotional weight of these moments, Sheridan inserted a scene so subtle, it could have been missed if not for a keen eye and a hauntingly familiar tune. In a flash-forward, set several years ahead, we see an older version of Spencer Dutton standing at the grave of Jacob and Kara. He wears a war veteran's pin, a well-worn coat, and a glint of pain in his eyes. The scene shifts quickly, but not before a name is spoken by a child off-screen, Uncle Spencer. Then, from the shadows, emerges a young teenage boy, confident, rugged, with an unmistakable Dutton profile. He is introduced only by name, Jack Dutton, Jr. And that's the moment it becomes clear. Spencer Dutton is not only alive in the next generation, he's about to play a pivotal role in raising the future leader of the Dutton legacy. Spencer Dutton's second act. Spencer Dutton, played by Brandon Sklynar, has long been a fan favorite for his complex morality, tortured past, and unexpected depth. His storyline, crossing continents from Africa to Europe, surviving war, loss, and love, has made him the emotional core of 1923. His reunion with the family ranch in Montana was bittersweet, as he struggled to reconnect with the land he once tried to forget. But now, 1923's finale gives us something more, a promise that his story isn't done. The flash-forward acts as a bridge, not just between 1923 and the eventual events of Yellowstone, but between generations. By showing Spencer older, wiser, and connected to a new Dutton heir, Sheridan is signaling that Spencer will serve as the emotional and moral compass in the next prequel series. The implication? The next chapter will be set in the 1940s or early 1950s, an era where the American West was undergoing transformation, post-World War II tensions were brewing, and cattle empires faced new threats from modernity, industry, and government encroachment. What the next prequel could explore, tentatively dubbed by fans as 1944 or 1963, depending on how far Sheridan wants to jump. This next installment would mark the third major prequel in the Yellowstone timeline, following 1883 and 1923. Spencer's confirmed presence opens up rich storytelling avenues. Not only would the show delve into how the Duttons survived the Great Depression and World War II, but it could explore how Spencer transitioned from soldier to patriarch. His experiences abroad, his trauma, and his evolving philosophy on land, legacy, and violence will shape how he raises Jack Jr., a young man who may one day be the father or grandfather of Yellowstone's John Dutton, i.e., Kevin Costner's character. That transition, from violent survivalist to wise mentor, echoes themes Sheridan loves: the cost of legacy, the burden of violence, and the loneliness of leadership. Why Spencer's return matters. For fans, Spencer has always embodied the heart of the Dutton family. While Jacob is stoic and strong-willed, and James Dutton, Tim McGraw in 1883, was the trailblazer, Spencer has always been the most emotionally resonant character, a man torn between duty and desire, tradition and change. His return also signals a deeper investment in continuity. Sheridan isn't just throwing new Duttons at us every generation. He's slowly building an interwoven narrative where lessons are passed down, scars are inherited, and ghosts linger. Spencer serves as the living memory of the Duttons' most formative years: the wars, the migration, the fights over land. And now he becomes the link to what comes next. Who else might return? If Spencer is coming back, could Alexandra? Fans were heartbroken when the pair were separated in Season 2, and though the finale didn't confirm a reunion, the mention of Spencer raising Jack Jr. suggests he may have found a family of his own, or perhaps even reconnected with Alexandra.